have a new addiction, and I have not told you about it yet.
Oh, I get to find out live.
I'm harboring a secret.
Woo!
I need to know if you are a game show fan.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I am. I can't remember the last time I watched one. Because you're talking about like Wheel of Fortune.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think like Big Brother was the last like game I watched, but I don't think that's what you're talking about.
I am so obsessed with Pop Culture Jeopardy.
I have been hearing about this.
Stop. There's like 30 something episodes and I've been like binging them. I love regular Jeopardy, right? But like there's only so much I know because like I was not a history buff. I am not good with like geography. I don't care about religion. And so like it's like always been like the pop culture kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And there are so many like things in this show that are so amazing. Like there's like Taylor Swift themes, there's like horror movie themes, there's like one of them was like, who's this director that almost directed Scream 7 but had to back out? And I was like, oh my god, it's Chris Landon. Like that would never be on regular Jeopardy. No. I am such a fan of it. I hope that it stays on for like 100 seasons. I want to be 80 years old watching Pop Culture Jeopardy. Pop
culture stuff is just fun.
But I'm like at that age where like I'm too old for some of the things.
Like the Gen Z stuff.
Yeah. And then like there are other things where I'm like too young for. You know, like sometimes it's like 70s like things. Right. And I'm like, well, I wasn't alive in the 70s. But like I just am so obsessed with it. It is so much fun. I've got my dad into it. Like my dad's like, I'm not like a big pop culture person, but like he's like, you know, the like some of the references are fun and I think it's like a really, really fun show. And like he'll even do like, all right, how much are you gonna bet for like the
that's like so cute. The double Jeopardy or whatever. Yeah.
It's like the one at the very final Jeopardy.
I know. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like the other day I like nailed it. I can't think of what it was. But I just wanted to know, like, it's so abnormal for me to be like obsessed with this, and I wanted to know like if you were a game show fan or if there was like one thing that you watch on TV for comfort that like isn't something that people would expect, I guess. Don't say Severance.
People would expect that. There is a show airing on, I think, Peacock, called St. Denis Medical, and it's just like a really funny sitcom that takes place in a hospital. So we've been watching that at night if we need to like not watch a thriller that keeps us up all night. I haven't watched like, I'm not even caught up on reality TV. Normally reality TV is my like easy watching TV, but I don't know. I've just been reading more.
Good for you. I think I've been reading more too. I think that I'm really out of reality TV. Like I think that it's worn off for me. I've been watching Pop Culture Jeopardy and I'm actually rewatching White Lotus from the beginning.
From the first season?
Before I start the third season. And I think I have like 2 or 3 left of season 2.
Yeah.
I've realized my taste in men needs to change.
Well, go on.
When I watched season 2 the first time, when it first aired, obviously, like everybody else, I was like, oh my god, Theo James is so hot. I love him, love him, love him, love him. And like when I was watching it, I was like, I don't care that he did like really shitty things in the show. I still wanted to be with him. And then I watched it this time, and like when he like does one thing, I'm like, you are not a good man. No. And I'm realizing that like I have the biggest crush on Albie. So Albie,
the darker hair one, right?
Yes, and he's the one that's traveling with his father and his grandfather. He is the sweetest.
I forgot the grandfather. Go ahead, sorry.
Cutest, sweetest man. The grandfather's my favorite character in the season because the actor is so on on point with his like
Yes. It's
facial
either him or
expressions and everything.
Aubrey Plaza.
Oh my god, Aubrey.
I fucking love her.
I love her too.
And that character.
One of my favorite movies is Ingrid Goes West.
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched that?
Yeah, you recommended it. Like, I think when we started this, I loved it.
God, full circle.
Yeah.
But like, she plays quirky characters in like everything she does, and I fear that she gets like typecast. But like, her in this is like incredible.
Yeah, and I remember her saying something along those lines where she was like, "This was one where like I actually got to be a little bit more like myself."
Mm-hmm. She's just so fucking good.
She's so good. I feel so bad for her.
I do too. Passing. I keep thinking about that every time I watch it now.
I can't remember which award show it was that she came on, but she was wearing one of his tie-dye shirts. Or it was SNL. She was at the 50th.
Mm-hmm.
And she announced something, and he went crazy with tie-dye during the pandemic, and she was wearing one of his shirts, and it made me cry. I feel bad, but positive vibes to Aubrey.
Yeah.
We love you.
And to all of us. Honestly.
Right.
And to all of us.
Yeah. I'm excited for you to get into season 3. Because there's some fun stuff to talk about.
I'm very excited for Parker Posey.
Oh my god. She is bodying that role.
She does everything.
Yeah.
She is my favorite part of Scream 3.
Oh yeah. See, I don't have it all arranged in my mind that I remember all these things about Scream all the time.
Yeah, well,
that's why I have
that's
you.
why you have me. Her and Courtney Cox together, and their like banter and like amazing.
I know. I love her. I keep telling anyone who doesn't know what Sagi Schwartz looks like, just go to her Instagram. But when the trailers first dropped, I kept telling her, I was like, I keep seeing this trailer and I think that you're in it. Like Parker Posey and her are like relatively similar looking. So
I love that.
Everybody can go check out that little Bookwild Easter egg, I guess.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love her. Speaking of things we love.
Mm-hmm. So we all know I don't reread books. But I might. That is the truth of it. Because we were talking about but if I could just forget a book and reread it, what would it be? And so then I was going deep into my archives of what I've read throughout my whole life. I don't know why I'm explaining this so like I don't know. I feel like I'm saying it weird, but made me realize maybe I could reread a couple because it's been just long enough.
I feel like we had to have like a psychological sci-fi spin on the question because it's like, Kate, what book would you like to reread? And you're like, I don't reread books. Next question. And then it's like, if somebody wiped this book from your memory, what book would you be? And then you're like, okay, now I'm into this.
Now I can do it.
Now I can do it.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many good ones.
So yeah, these are like some of our favorite books that we like. Well, I'm a rereader. I'm a rereader. I just don't have the time. If I had more time, these are the books that I would need to reread because I really enjoyed like the reading experience, or the twist is one I didn't see coming, or like I just like completely fell in love with the story and like could not put it down. So that's kind of like what my main thing was. Like I just want to like relive that reading experience again.
Yeah, same.
Like some books I'm like, I don't remember that at all, and like these are the ones where like I'm like, this is what I was wearing when I read it. I was like, it was 55 degrees and rainy outside. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember like everything about my reading experience with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have those too. Reading, man. Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay.
Ladies first.
I am going to start off with one that just had a special edition release. Well, no, the release date was... It doesn't come out until April, but there's a special edition coming out of Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, and it is my favorite of hers ever. Shelby Tebow is the first to go missing. Not long after, Meredith Dickey and her 6-year-old daughter Delilah vanished just blocks away from where Shelby was last seen, striking fear into their once peaceful community. Are these incidents connected? After an elusive search that yields more questions than answers, the case eventually goes cold. Now, 11 years later, Delilah shockingly returns. Everyone wants to know what happened to her, but no one is prepared for what they'll find. That's a nice short description of it.
Mm-hmm.
It
It is.
it's kind of like
It's one of those books that you
a
don't want
domestic
along.
suspense,
Yeah.
and it's a thriller. And it's like some very complicated relationships that play out. But the special edition has hot pink sprayed edges, so I had to buy it. So I pre-ordered it.
I love Mary Kubica.
Mm-hmm.
She's who got me into Bookstagram.
Yes, the good girl,
the
right?
Good Girl. Yep. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, that book is so good! I'm glad you recommended it." And da 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 da. And then I was like, "Okay,
like this is fun."
Well, I'm just gonna post all these pictures.
Yeah, I think that's probably my next favorite of hers.
So good. It's hard for me to, because they're all like very like atmospheric too.
They are.
She's so good. Actually, here's my little Mary Kubica shelf right here. All my Mary Kubica books.
That's perfect. I think I don't have any actually. Not physical copies.
We're gonna have to get that special edition for you then.
I know. It's so pretty. I'll put a link if people want to go look at it.
I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get one out of the way. That actually, I'm gonna not talk about that one. I'm going to try to surprise you. Oh, Murphy's like, what are you talking about?
I'll surprise her.
I'm just gonna say one of mine was A Density of Souls by Christopher Rice, but I feel like I mentioned that book so much on here that like it should be a given. So we're gonna go with some other ones. I love you, Christopher Rice. I love Density of Souls. Everyone needs to read it. My first one is The Last Winter of Dani Lansing by P.D. Viner. Because I've mentioned this, but I don't know if I've ever told anybody what it's about. It says that it's a riveting psychological thriller in tradition of Before I Go to Sleep and Memento. 20 years ago, college student Dani Lansing was kidnapped and brutally murdered. The killer was never found, and the case has gone long cold. Her parents, Patty and Jim, were utterly devastated, their marriage destroyed. While Jim fell apart, Patty was consumed by the unsolved case. She abandoned her journalism career and her marriage to spend every waking hour searching and plotting. She keeps contact with Tom, Dani's childhood sweetheart, who has become a detective intent on solving murders like Dani's. When he finds a lead that seems ironclad, he brings Patty in on it. After years of dead ends, her obsession is rekindled and she will do anything for revenge, even become a killer herself, dragging her whole family into the nightmare once again as lies and secrets are uncovered.
You said it's pretty much a tragedy, right?
I mean, here's my thing. I thought it was very sad.
Not that tragedies are always bad. No. That was not anyway. No. Go ahead.
I think that all books that I read are sad in a sense of most of them have to do with murder, right? Like I'm a thriller junkie. So with this one, you already know that there's a girl who has been kidnapped and murdered, that her boyfriend became a detective because of her unsolved case. Her parents are emotionally destroyed, which I guess would be the same thing in most books. It's just the way that he writes them. It's very believable. So when you're reading it, the characters really do come alive. And it's like you have the father who's grieving, the mother who's grieving, the boyfriend who's grieving. And then all the while you're trying to go along with them while they still deal with this like years and years later and are also trying to solve like what happened to her. And what happened to her when you get to it is very sad in itself as well. Like you're just kind of like, that's not how I would want to go out.
Yeah.
So I think like if you could handle like Rabbit Hole, I think you can handle this. So it's an amazing book. I will forever.
Yeah, that's been a favorite of yours forever.
I will forever. I think I read it in like 2012, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm obsessed with the cover. Because it's right here.
I know.
I'm obsessed with it.
It's so unique.
I love Dani.
Mm.
And I have it in hardcover, which is not like me. So that just goes to show you how much I love Dani Lansing.
Right.
I think I have it on my Kindle too. Now I want to reread it. Gotta go.
That was kind of the point.
Gotta jet.
Oh, that would be so funny.
Just hang up.
I guess we're done here. Well, my next one, I don't know, I have no segue, is called The Nightbird by Brian Freeman, and it's part of a series. Oh my gosh, I loved this book so much. I was just thinking about it a couple weeks ago for some reason. It was a thriller nominee for 2017 Goodreads Choice Awards. It's a series about Frost Easton, a homicide detective who doesn't like coincidences. When a series of bizarre deaths rock San Francisco, seemingly random women suffer violent psychotic breaks, Frost looks for a connection that leads him to psychiatrist Francesca Stein. Frankie's controversial therapy helps people erase their most terrifying memories, and all the victims were her patients. As Frost and Frankie carry out their own investigations, the case becomes increasingly personal and dangerous. Long submerged secrets surface as someone called the Nightbird taunts the pair with cryptic messages pertaining to the deaths. Soon Frankie is forced to confront strange gaps in her own memory, and Frost faces a killer who knows the detective's worst fears. As the body count rises and the Nightbird circles ever closer, a dedicated cop and a brilliant doctor race to solve the puzzle before a cunning killer claims another victim. This one is like psychological thriller, mystery thriller. It has all kinds of elements and memory elements. So of course I'm obsessed.
Oops. Oh, Murphy, stop it. I will forever be grateful for you for everything you've ever brought to my life, but especially for getting me into Brian Freeman, because
remember the Ursulina?
I do, but you had me read this first. I read this trilogy first, and
so good.
I just am obsessed. I'm obsessed.
I gave all of them 5 stars, all 3.
I haven't had I want like a fun series to binge.
Oh,
it's dark, but like I want like a fun reading experience, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I felt reading the Zoe Bentley trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, wow, these are so like addictive. But
yeah, that's the best.
Ursulina, holy shit.
Oh, so good.
Ugh. I don't have a segue.
I didn't either.
Actually, I kind of do. Here's a book. I picked one that you and I have bonded over multiple times.
Ooh.
That I need to read again. And like, I will make it my mission to read this book again because of how much I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
The Girl Who Was Taken by Charlie Dunley.
I almost used that one.
Really?
Yes.
I love it. That's the one I did last minute to be like,
it was like it was like a backup. Like it was one I thought about. So I'm glad you picked it.
2 abducted girls, one who returns, one who doesn't. The night they go missing, high school seniors Nicole Cuddy and Megan McDonald are at a beach party in their small town of Emerson Bay, North Carolina. Police launch a massive search, but hope is almost lost until Megan escapes from a bunker deep in the woods. A year later, the best-selling account of her ordeal has made Megan a celebrity. It's a triumphant story, except for one inconvenience. Nicole is still missing. I think that's a typo.
I think so too.
Triumphant story, except for one little inconvenience. I'm going to say that Nicole is still missing.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole's older sister, Livia, a fellow in forensic pathology, expects that one day Nicole's body will be found and her sister's fate determined. Instead, the first clue comes from another body, that of a young man connected to Nicole's past. Livia reaches out to Megan to learn more about that fateful night. Other girls have disappeared, and she's increasingly sure the cases are connected. Megan knows more than she revealed in her book. Flashes of memory are pointing to something more monstrous than she described. And the deeper she and Livia dig, the more they realize that sometimes true terror lies in finding exactly what you've been looking for.
Damn. What a synopsis.
It's just so freaking twisty.
Yes.
I hate her name, but I love Livia because I always want to call her Olivia.
I know. I've never read a character like that anywhere else yet.
Yeah. I'm like, ugh. So, but I loved her as a character because there's nothing better than an introduction to me than somebody who is not the stereotype of one day maybe they'll find her alive. Like, she's like, I just want you to find my sister's dead body so like I can finally put this to rest. And like she's not like, oh, she's still alive, or like there's still hope, or like things. Like she's been gone long enough, I know she's dead.
Yeah.
You know, so like I just like love that as like a part of her character. And yeah, that's an ending I will never forget.
Yeah.
It's dark as fuck.
It's very dark. I think that was the first of his that I read. I think
it was mine too. I think it was mine
either
too.
my first or second.
And I'm obsessed with the cover.
Lake might have been the first one. I don't know.
I think I read Summit Lake. I think I read The Girl Who Was Taken and then Some Choose Darkness, maybe.
That was definitely short after for me. Oh my god.
Good. So good.
I still remember that ending. I think, or it's the second one in the series. I know the first one is what I'm thinking, because the Suicide House is the second one.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, that one is dark too.
I like that they're reissuing all of his covers too.
Oh, they're reissuing all of them? Nice.
I think so.
I have seen some different ones.
I searched and they all kind of have the same like vibe now. Like the same like font and everything, and just like the picture. So now I'm like, not only do I want to reread all of them, but I want to have new editions of them. Yeah. So, but yeah, he's so good. He has a new one coming out in July. It sounds really good too.
Yes, you told us it was on NetGalley, and I went and got it.
I think I got it on NetGalley too.
Yeah, I'm auto approved for who's that? Is that Kensington?
Kensington.
Yeah, so I was able to just get it.
I'm not. I did get invited to be part of his like fan club.
Oh yeah, that's
Donley
cool.
Detectives.
Oh, that's cool.
And they said they're going to send me an arc of his new one.
Nice.
So I'm like, that'll probably be one that I will just be like, I don't care when it comes out. I'm reading this as soon as it comes in.
Same. Well, I guess I have it, but
yeah, true.
Oh, I'm still getting caught up on April, I think. I have no segue for this one, but I recently saw a shirt. Well, I got a shirt advertised to me on Instagram that said "Make Orwell Fiction Again," and I just loved that. And it reminded me that like 1984 was technically my first experience with sci-fi and like kind of political sci-fi. Back in like high school, but I haven't read it since. And so this is when I might actually read at some point this year. Okay. 1984 is the story of one man's nightmare odyssey as he pursues a forbidden love affair through a world ruled by warring states and a power structure that controls not only information but also individual thought and memory. A prophetic, haunting tale. Why these sentences? What is happening? Like, is there another?
I feel like I'm having a brain aneurysm right now.
Winston Smith toes the party line, rewriting history to satisfy the demands of the Ministry of Truth. With each lie he writes, Winston grows to hate the party that seeks power for its own sake and prosecutes those who dare to commit thought crimes. But as he starts to think for himself, Winston can't escape the fact that Big Brother is always watching. A startling and haunting novel, 1984 creates an imaginary world that is completely convincing from start to finish. No one can deny the power the novel's hold on the imaginations of whole generations or the power of its admonitions, a power that seems to grow, not lessen with the passage of time. Well, that got sad, but it is a dystopic novel. And we kind of have a dystopic vibe going on this year.
God, I don't know.
So I'm like, why not revisit this?
Oh my God.
So yeah, mine, I'm having a lot about thought crime, thoughts, and controlling people's minds is one of my themes already.
I just love how, like, your range of choices.
I know.
Like,
when I thought of this one, I was like, nobody would guess this one.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I was like, Mary Kubica, and I was like, oh, okay. And then, like, you were talking about, like, Nightbird, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And I'm like, it was kind of like that time we were doing the one episode where you were like, I feel like all of my, I think it was like the Toxic Love one, or like
Yes.
the See Me one.
Yeah.
And you were like, all my choices are like books that like you love, basically. So like, I was like, oh, and then like you're like 1984. I was like, oh my God.
You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna. I've actually never read it.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it was, you know, something you were dying.
Everybody raves about it, but
I used to watch Big Brother obsessively. That would have been my answer to your question a few years ago.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. I don't have a segue. I don't know what to say.
We just have range on this episode.
We do. Mine takes place in 1981.
Ooh.
It's a few years before 1984.
That's adjacent.
This is one I know you're gonna be like, okay, you talk about this book all the time, but this is one of my favorite reading experiences of my life. The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis.
That's what I figured.
I am so obsessed with this book. It's so cinematic and atmospheric, and I'm just like, I think that he's so good. I can't help it. Okay. 17-year-old Brett is a senior at the exclusive Buckley Prep School when a new student arrives with a mysterious past. Robert Mallory is bright, handsome, charismatic, and shielding a secret from Brett and his friends, even as he becomes part of their tightly knit circle. Brett's obsession with Mallory is equaled only by his increasingly unsettling occupation with the Trowler, a serial killer on the loose who seems to be drawing even closer to Brett and his friends, taunting them, and Brett in particular, with grotesque threats and horrific, sharply local acts of violence. The coincidences are uncanny, but they also filter through the imagination of a teenager whose gifts for constructing narrative from the filaments of his own life are about to make him one of the most explosive literary sensations of his generation. Can he trust his friends or his own mind to make sense of the danger they appear to be in? Thwarted by the world and his own innate desires, buffeted by the unhealthy fixations, he spirals into paranoia and isolation as relationship between the trawler and Robert Mallory hurtles inexplorably toward a collision. A lot of fucking literary words in that synopsis to just be like, listen, he's obsessed with a new student and he's also like obsessed with a serial killer who's getting very close to him.
You're like, fuck, inexorably. He's obsessed.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is this? These are the words that should have been in 1984's description. You know what I mean?
That's what. That's the part I can't even remember. I can't remember if it's like wordy or what.
I would love to reread this, but I'm also they're going to be making the Shards into a TV show.
Yes,
I believe on HBO Max. So I want to reread it before the show, obviously, but I'm also very curious, and I really think that I'm brave enough to finally read this.
Oh,
American
you haven't
Psycho.
read it before?
Okay, this is
Why did I
disgusting,
think that
right?
you had?
Because this book is disgusting.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. That's why I haven't read it.
So when the movie came out in like 2000, I was like
Mhm.
13.
Yeah.
So I bought the book because I was like, oh, I'm going to read the book for the movie. And a 13-year-old should not have been reading this
No.
because there's very like gross descriptions of some of the things that he does, like compared to
Oof.
the movie. But I'm like, maybe now I could be brave enough to read this and finally do it.
I believe in you.
Because I really want to recast it.
Yeah.
Like I really want to do like a fan cast for this because I have some really good ideas.
Yeah, that would be
But
fun.
um this was actually a question on Pop Culture Jeopardy.
Ooh,
You know
nice.
that what's that trend on TikTok where it's like, I'm looking for a man.
In finance, trust fund,
Yes.
6'5", blue eyes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So one of the topics was I'm looking for a man in finance.
Oh
And
my
it was
gosh.
like, who's the actor that played Paul in American Psycho?
Nice.
And I was like, it's Jared Leto.
You're screaming at the TV.
I was like, oh my god. I just like watch American Psycho more than most people should. And the only thing that I have to fast forward during is the part where he kills the dog.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, that one hurts.
I don't know if he kills the dog or if he just kicks it.
Either.
But
Skip.
I that's why I don't know, because I always just like
Just
fast
skip.
forward
Yeah.
through it.
I don't blame you.
Like fucking A. Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say his name like that because that's how Reese Witherspoon says it in the movie.
Oh yeah.
She has like the little like pot belly pig, and she's like, "Why are you so grumpy at Christmas, Patrick?"
Oh my gosh. Her daughter looks so much like her. Especially
Oh my god, I know.
that time period.
Ugh, so good.
Well, my next one is my favorite Megan Miranda book, All the Missing Girls.
I will reread this with you when you finally do
We
it.
should. Actually, yeah. Like, I just loved this one. 2016. That was long ago. So maybe I will.
Almost 10 years ago, dude. Isn't that crazy?
What the fuck? Ooh, I read this 9 years ago. Oh my god. That's crazy.
I know. I've been taking
Who knew this
Bookstagram.
episode was going to give me an existential crisis?
I'm like thinking to myself, like, in a couple of years, it'll be my 10-year anniversary on Bookstagram.
That's kind of crazy.
I've never committed to anything that long.
I guess I technically have to Tyler and my dogs. Okay. All the Missing Girls, which has a Tyler in it, coincidentally. It's been 10 years since Nicolette Farrell. It's been 10 years since Nicolette Farrell left her rural hometown after her best friend Corinne disappeared from Cooley Ridge without a trace. Back again to tie up loose ends and care for her ailing father, Nick is soon plunged into a shocking drama that reawakens Corinne's case and breaks open old wounds long since stitched. The decade-old investigation focused on Nick, her brother Daniel, her boyfriend Tyler, and Corinne's boyfriend Jackson. Since then, only Nick has left Cooley Ridge. Daniel and his wife Laura are expecting a baby. Jackson works at the town bar, and Tyler is dating Annalise Carter, Nick's younger neighbor, and the group's alibi for the night Corinne disappeared. Then, within days of Nick's return, Annalise goes missing. Told backwards, day 15 to day 1 from the time Annalise goes missing, Nick works to unravel the truth about her younger neighbor's disappearance, revealing shocking truths about her friends, her family, and what really happened to Corinne that night 10 years ago. I love a cool timeline thing like that too. And she does it so well in this book.
She does it so well.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Farrell. I actually have a friend whose last name Farrell.
Thank you.
Um, I love the name Corinne.
Mm-hmm.
I love the cast in that book. And I felt like it was very atmospheric, but like
Yes.
in a way that added to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Your little toenails.
Mm.
Yeah, it was very atmospheric, just like that added to the story and like the like eeriness and everything. I don't know about you, but like because I live in such a like a remote area, like when I have a book like that, like I almost like picture my own hometown sometimes when I read
Yeah.
it. Do you
Mm-hmm.
ever do that?
I grew up in a really, well, second half of my childhood in a very, very small town. So I do imagine parts of that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
like my high school, like 3 towns had to come together to even make a high school.
Oh wow.
So anything small town high school definitely taking place where like my memories of that are.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you there.
Little town.
Ugh, that's such a good book.
It is.
It's
Her
one of my.
next one sounds really good too.
I was gonna say that. Do
Mm.
I have her next one?
I think I requested it, but I haven't heard anything.
I don't know if I do.
Because what
I'm
is
really
it? I'm
excited
trying to
for
remember
it.
what it's
She's
called.
somebody that I'd actually like to go back and like read her entire catalog.
I know, because I really enjoyed a lot of hers.
And I feel like there's some that like I just didn't get to. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
just like
there
didn't
are.
read them for some reason.
Like, I haven't read The Perfect Stranger or The Girl from Widow Hills. Might need to read some Megan Miranda for my backlist.
I think we shall.
Mm-hmm.
Um I have one that I want to read again, but I don't think that you've read it, and I think that it would be right up your alley.
Ooh.
It is called What You Don't Know by Joanne Chaney.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't take their lives, but he ruined them. A series of murders brings Denver to its knees in a wonderfully voice-driven, dark, wry, and wholly original page-turning debut. The last victims of an infamous serial killer on death row may be the ones he didn't kill. 7 years ago, Detective Paul Hoskins and his larger-than-life partner solved one of the biggest serial murder cases of the decade. They dug up 33 bodies in a crawl space belonging to the beloved Jackie Seaver, a pillar of the community and a successful businessman. Sammy Peterson was the lead reporter on the case. Her byline was on the front page of every newspaper every day. Seaver's wife Gloria claimed to be as surprised as everyone else. Today, Hoskins has been banished to cold cases, Sammy is selling makeup at the mall, and Gloria is trying to navigate a world where she can't escape condemnation. Seaver? He's watching the show. When a series of new murders occurs and the victims are all somehow connected to Seaver, Gloria is once again thrust in the spotlight while Hoskins and Sammy realize this may be their chance to get their lives back, even if it means forfeiting their humanity in the process.
Man. You said this one's kind of political too, right? Is that what you said? Or
I don't think so.
what am I thinking of? I can't remember. It was from a really long time ago.
I don't think
So
it's
I might be
political.
thinking of another red and black cover.
You might be. I'm not a big political
I know.
thriller.
And so what this random fragment of memory I'm having is you saying that and you're like, this is like the most involved in politics book I've ever read and liked. And I think it was just another.
Hello.
Well, we were gonna do 5 books, but my dogs are losing their minds, so you're definitely hearing a rough cut right now. Because they were in a shouting match with the neighbor dogs. So, um, let us know if there are any books that you want to reread.
Yeah. Or if you need to reread any of the books that we mentioned.